Alright, can I climb this thing? Kind of. I'm very clearly too tall for this thing. Well, it is what it is. Did you hear that the mayor's cat Ulysses is missing? The whole town's on the lookout for him in time for the festival. We won't have spring till he's put that hat on. It's like, it's cool, but I want to be getting like weird messages. To be honest, if I'd wear that hat, I'd go missing too. Oh. Yeah, speaking of the cat, there's the paw prints. Erase the evidence. Save the cat. Spare the cat. That would explain why I got texted about it. Let's see. I don't know. I'll shut up about this like ridiculous secret plot thing. It'd just be really funny to have, you know, contrived over the top reasons for why I'm cleaning what I'm cleaning. Let's see. I respect the devs went out of their way to give this game a good amount of quality of life inclusions to make it enjoyable. I'm honestly shocked by that. This feels like one of those games that you'd make in a weekend using a bunch of bot assets and like repetitive stuff, and then you just sell it for $10 on Steam. Like that Firefighter Squad game was utter trash in terms of like quality, but they were charging $30 for it, and you know what? We got very into it all the same. Oh, you get text. You actually get text for every star, 20% clean you get. Oh, wow, that was one hell of a coincidence then. Okay. You know what I'd actually love to see with this game? We were talking about speedruns earlier. I'd love to see a taskbot run of this. Like somebody programming a speedrun of this. Because the whole game is predictable. Nothing moves. So I could see like a taskbot run being incredibly cool. Of just like watching it go with whatever glitches. Because a person, I don't know, I think that's something that I've always been more attracted to in terms of speedrunning. Is like watching somebody program the speedrun instead. Or at least like the end results, just because it's just insane what they can do. Let's see. Because, like, the Celeste speedrun, for example, is absolutely absurd. At least the one that I saw. This is... I should probably actually grab my stepping stool. Can I wonder if I can pick it up. Okay, here we go. Perfect. Perfect. It's still not tall enough, but I'll take what I can get. It's mostly tall enough. Yeah, it did the job. I don't really want to be jumping that. That just seems awful. Right, yeah, here we go. I guess what I should probably do is put it back here for a hot second. And finish this section. Let's see, what's another game that has an over-the-top story, now that I'm thinking? Ace Combat! Don't the Ace Combat games have, like, really silly stories? Or am I misremembering that? Because I know those are, like, somewhat realistic, like, flight, like, air combat games, but their stories are like really anime. Let's see, speedrun listed by level. Clean the van soapless is a minute, and any equipment is 38 seconds. So the first level, dang. Okay. Anyway, let's finish this up. I keep getting distracted by other spots, which I guess is fine. It doesn't really matter where I clean as long as I'm constantly hitting spots. Though, boy, cleaning this is really making me realize, yeah, how large I must be in comparison to most of these playgrounds. I don't remember the last time I actually was on a playground. No, many of them tend to be taller than this. I remember being on a playground when I was in high school. My friends and I would go towards sundown after everybody had gone home, and usually kind of midwinter, so we wouldn't have to worry about kids being there. But we go to a local park with like a really nice view of the I think it was called like Skyline Park, in Arlington, Massachusetts, I think it was. But so we would go there, and we would play. What's it called? Blind Man's Bluff? I forget. But effectively, one person would be kind of Marco Poloing, and everybody else would be trying to sneak around them on the playground. Very similar to Marco Polo, to be honest. And so eventually we had to stop playing because one of the guys hurt themselves because they climbed up into like the rafters of one of these and was effectively unfindable. Didn't we recently talk about height in Discord like a month ago? Yeah, we did. I'm not particularly tall. I'm 5'10". But even then, like, this is just making me feel monstrously tall all of a sudden. I don't usually have a whole lot of those moments where I'm like, boy, I'm an adult now. I do occasionally. I think it's just like it was such a smooth transition for me. There was no like just suddenly like, I'm an adult now. I think I also had a number of like those I'm an independent person feelings when I was still not independent. Namely visiting like foreign countries and whatnot on my own, like just wandering London as an 18-year-old. Was I even 18? I might have only been 17 at the time. But yeah, just wandering around London on my own was interesting. I was like the only person they allowed to do that too, which is really weird. Like everybody else had to kind of do a buddy system thing to make sure they wouldn't get in trouble, but I was not considered for that limitation, purely because I didn't have any roommates when we did the trip. There was like an odd number of people and not enough like space in the rooms, so I straight up was like given a closet to sleep in. It was like a closet with a bed and a sink, and like a TV mounted above the bed. That was kind of great. Didn't actually spend a whole lot of time in the room, but it meant like every morning you're supposed to go out with the people that you were rooming with and like explore the city and then meet up for certain events at various times of the day. But since I wasn't staying with anybody, nobody bothered to like realize that like, yeah, we're just letting Wander just wander around on his own. Plus, I was probably one of the more trustworthy students, and the teachers were, I'm going to say, not exactly the most trustworthy folks. One of the teachers pretty much got so hungover on like the second day that he pretty much disappeared from the entire trip because he was so violently ill. Because he went like bar crawling and just like could not handle, I guess, the aftermath of it, which was amusing. Let's see. Okay, you mentioned those sim games with a story. Went through a list of simulators and found something that wouldn't be fit for stream or YouTube, called Autopsy Simulator with a horror element. Oh gosh. Really should go back down and clean the ground for a bit. Okay, let's see. Stop this for a hot second. Okay, got anything else here? Got a little. I bet I could go up one size on this. I don't think this dirt is particularly caked on. Okay, there we go. What about white? White ain't good enough. Green seems to be fine, though. There we go. Perfect. I'm stuck. I'm no longer stuck. There we go. Boy, this is a vibrant roof. It's maybe like over vibrant. All right. There we go. We're almost done with this rooftop. Please just ding for me. Oh, I wonder if the rest of the dirt is kind of on the monkey bear's side. Looks like this is maxed out. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so it looks like, there we go. It looks like the more pressure I have, the more range I got. I'm gonna just do some of this detailing from a distance, seeing as I'm up here. Okay, not seeing too much left. I don't think going for those cracks is worth it. Okay, so we got the roof. The tower's almost done. But honestly, while I'm up here, let's just get every single roof. Can you imagine somebody just looking at me? Like, you just look up and there's just this, like, grubby-looking man just awkwardly standing on the roof, slowly sliding down, spinning in place as he power washes everything. Probably talking to himself. In kind of like one of those... Well, I mean... I'm carrying on a nice, comfortable conversation with everybody that is watching me. But in real life, this would be really weird. It is so weird. The idea of spending my life, or like my professional career, effectively talking, not necessarily to myself, but to a bunch of disembodied voices. I mean, yes, over the internet. Like, it's not quite as weird as I'm making it out to be, but it's just like... You know those, like, memes of, like, describe this movie, wrong? Like, I think about this sometimes in terms of, like, my career. It's like, describe what you do without describing what you do. I talk to myself all day long. Sometimes to random voices, sometimes on my own. And then people watch the aftermath of that. Like, I don't know. Amuses me. I still kind of have those, like, weird feelings every once in a while where I'm not gonna say it's, like, imposter syndrome, because, like, imposter syndrome is kind of like a means, paired with, like, feelings of, like, I don't deserve this. I don't think I've ever really had those feelings, but it's just very much, like, this odd disbelief every once in a while that it's like, yep, this is my job. I was going out grocery shopping yesterday, and every once in a while I think of, like, you know, kind of like backup plan ideas of, like, yeah, what would happen if YouTube shut down? Or, like, YouTube and Twitch became less viable for some reason. You know what I would do. And realistically, I'd probably try and work for a company that already does this stuff, seeing as, you know, my skills are most eminently transferable in that manner. But then I was just kind of sitting there being like, wow, this really is just my job, ain't it? I don't know. It's hard to imagine YouTube would just shut down. Chances are what it would be like an anti-monopoly thing would go through on like the US government or some other government, forcing Google to split YouTube into like 2 different websites or something as kind of like a, yeah, this is anti-competitive because literally no one else can do this. That your service is so popular it's edged out all of the competition just automatically. Splitting YouTube in half would probably do it. Maybe? Maybe not. I don't know. I just know the ad rev would take such a massive hit that it would potentially be impossible for whatever the splinter sites to recover properly. It's part of the reason why I want to work on those video essays. Having multiple different types of content, you know, live streams, video essays, and, like, indie impressions slash Let's Play content, and having those on separate sites really would soften the blow. Because then it wouldn't be as much of, like, you know, your job is just gone. It would be like, well, that part of my job is just dead. But yeah, I can't imagine that it would just go kaput. I just could see it being one of those where it's like no longer financially viable for me. Well, shoot. I guess I live here now. Honestly, while I'm here, I might as well just get this. It's kind of awkward hanging out on the side of it, but you know what? It is what it is. Alright, there we go. Got enough. Go back to the green. I think the green is kind of good enough. Yeah, it's good enough for wood. I think it's mainly just rust spots and lichen and stuff. And stone. But I guess I could just... Nah. Definitely green. White is just... requires too many passes. In the internet age, monopolies are inevitable. Splitting them is not feasible. The best option is to shackle them with laws that they can't weasel out of. Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. And, like, limit their influence to some degree. Flip side, what I think a lot of internet digital monopolies should almost be forced to kind of pay for, maybe not innovation, but like Amazon really likes to buy out and or incubate new ideas, and I always think it would be kind of interesting if, like, you know, Amazon starts this new business, say they start the game company or the Luna or something. Once it's like fully started, it'd almost be one of those where they get split, but they get some kind of, like, benefit for doing so. So you start forcing these big companies to act as, like, smaller company incubators, where after a certain point, the smaller company, like, by law has to split off, but the big company gets, like, a tax break for it or something. But, you know, can't continuously, like, influence or benefit from it. I don't know. I'm sure there's better ideas than what I have, but I just, like... It always grosses me out thinking, like, yeah, these companies own pretty much everything that we interact with. Or the alternative is, like, let them have the monopoly, but have them also pay taxes, like a lot of taxes for it. Like, I don't mind the idea of Elon Musk doing all of these, like, major innovations, but the dude needs to pay more taxes as a result. You know, if Bezos and, oh, what's-his-face, the Virgin Airlines guy, if they want to have a space race, fine, but they should pay more taxes first. Easy. Fix the world before you leave it. Because, boy, we could use that money for, I don't know, carbon capture? That's a huge one. It just grosses me out a little bit. My state is on fire again. and thinking of all these, like, rich assholes, you know, doing whatever with their money, well, parts of the world straight up just burn. It's just like, I don't like it. Education, health, literally anything, yeah. Anything that isn't vanity projects like a space race. Like, if there was no poverty, starvation, or, I don't know, a pandemic, and, like, the world was not suffering from the effects of climate change, and then the rich assholes want to do whatever the hell, sure, okay. As long as the world is, like, in a comfortable state. Then, like, I don't mind. But the fact that we have so many problems and so much of the wealth is tied up in Bezos's emotional support yacht just feels wrong to me. Okay. Amazon has a game studio. So far, everything is flopped. We'll see about New World. Comments from devs working from them as they don't understand how to run a creative studio. I mean, this happens all the time, especially when it's like a studio run by, I'm gonna say investment people, a board of directors and a board of investors. Because, like, video game development is hard. It's not easy, and it's very difficult to make, like, a good game. And you can't just make a game based on a formula and expect it to work. It's why so many Bethesda games ultimately would be flops if not for, like, a couple of key elements. It's why Fallout 6 is derided as being soulless and terrible. It's because that was a game that was not made for the intent of making, like, a cool experience in game. It was made for the intent of becoming a games as a service product. I'm sure financially it worked out for them, but it's, like, critically not great. And Fallout 76 would have probably failed pretty miserably had it not been a Fallout game and there been enough, you know, Bethesda fans to prop it up. And so, I can't imagine Perfect World is going to be... Or Perfect World? New World. Sorry, Perfect World, I mean also, but I can't imagine New World lasting that long. It's kind of the same reason why a lot of Blizzard products have just felt really iffy lately, is because that is a studio that transitioned from being very motivated by the creation process and much more motivated by stockholders and, you know, finances. And, like, by all accounts, I've heard the Call of Duty games have gotten better and better, and, like, I guess clearly there's still some level of quality being put out. But I know from my own perspective, it's just like, I could not care about anything Blizzard generally puts out nowadays, because it's just like, it feels wrong. It feels like seeing an old friend, but they've been, well, I don't know. This is probably going to be maybe a little bit too real, but for those of you that have been, you know, maybe have graduated high school or even college, and then, you know, come back for, like, a reunion or something. You know when, like, you go back for the reunion, or you see an old friend that you knew once upon a time, and you see them for, like, the reunion or whatnot, but they've changed pretty drastically. You know, life maybe hit them kind of hard, or they did, like, really well for themselves, and they've changed kind of tremendously. Sometimes for the better, but, you know, oftentimes... Oh, howdy, Dirt Finder. Put everything on hold. My golf buggy's soiled like you wouldn't believe. Excuse me, Mr. Moneybags. You can wait. Doc gave your details to a colleague who needs a hand with her new place in the suburbs. It's the old Diath place. Hope you don't get spooked easily. Funny. The crew running Blizzard at the moment aren't the same people that started the company. The current choices they've made reflect this. Yep. I mean, I don't actually know where Bobby Kotick belongs in the history of Blizzard. But yeah, the old guard that made Blizzard good has gone. They've started their own studios. They've split off and started many different studios. And, like, straight up, I can't necessarily fault them you know, fault the company for changing, but it's like finding one of your friends who's like, you know, gone off into the working world and come back a different person, and not for the better. Because that was an issue that I ran into, even with, like, friends in college. Some of my friends would, like, go out on co-op for, you know, X number of months, and they just come back different. And it always just felt gross to me interacting with them after a certain point, because they just weren't the same as they used to be. And sometimes it's for the better. Oftentimes, it wasn't. So, like, I had one friend that went on, like, a huge health kick, but his girlfriend had left him, and he was definitely, like, less fun to be around and way, way nastier. And, like, the dude just wasn't cool to be around anymore. And he was, like, really jealous and petty. So I think there was a lot more going on than just, like, him going out on co-op. But he just came back after an X number of months. And it was just kind of like, you are not the same friends that I said goodbye to back in, you know, at the end of May. And, that's how I feel every single time I, like, play modern Blizzard products. Like, it's still kind of the same thing deep down, but it doesn't feel right. It's like somebody else is wearing my friend's skin. And you know what? Maybe to these people, I'm kind of the exact same way. There's a very real possibility that, you know, I have changed drastically as well, and there's kind of like a major mismatch on both ends. I don't know. Probably. I don't know how much I've changed. I'd have to talk to Shell about that at some point and see what she says. I probably changed tremendously. I know I've definitely changed, maybe for the negative, a little bit as far as like YouTube goes. It's been good for me on a number of cases, but on some other cases, I'm definitely a lot more tired and grumpy. But I think a lot of that just has to do with, like, working all the time is tiring. So Blizzard never starts selling NFTs. I give them a couple of years. What do you think it's gonna... it's probably gonna be a Call of Duty thing before it's a World of Warcraft thing. But I could absolutely see NFT skins in, like, Blizzard. Or not Blizzard, in World of Warcraft. You know, buy this super exclusive, you know, whatever armor set you get, and it's, like, protected by an NFT, so nobody else can ever have it, and it's, like, totally standalone. Like, that will happen in MMOs. There will be NFT mounts, and there will be NFT, like, armor skins that are really expensive and marketed to that. And, ugh. I've actually got a number of emails from, like, game developers that are like, check out our, like, new NFT thing, and I'm just like, no, thank you. And then I unsubscribe from their mailing list because I want nothing to do with them ever again. Not in that vein, how many of you guys saw that, like, Blocko's Block Party game, or whatever it was called? That game looked downright soulless. I remember you talking about that. It's just, there's no value in that game. I have no idea how it's done. Because, like, I think it's available in, like, kind of a beta state for people to play now. But they announced it at E3 and then spent pretty much their entire E3 thing promoting it with, like, what's his face? Deadmau5. But it was like, they weren't promoting the game or the gameplay, they were just promoting the idea of buying these, like, digital Funko Pop looking characters. And it was just, like, the most soulless thing I've ever seen from an E3. And I've seen some pretty, like, scummy E3 presentations, or some very, like, you know, this is purely for business E3 stuff back in the day. But that took the cake as far as, like, boy, this game just exists to extract wealth from its audience. And nothing more. Wow, I've actually really cleaned this place up. Wait, why is all of the grime only there? I have no idea. 583. Boy, this is going to take a little while. Let's see. Maybe I'm hopeful, but I expect NFTs to die soon. They already kind of have. At least it's not as widespread from what I've seen. There was like a crash a month or so ago that certainly hurt the like marketability of it. The problem is now it's a bunch of like corporate interests that are trying to get into, you know, they maybe started working on some kind of NFT-based thing. And so we're going to see some remnants of that and possibly like a return. And then it'll just be like gone for good. I just feel... I don't want to say I feel bad for anybody that got suckered into it, but like, I know there are a ton of artists that were like, this is my big chance, and like, I'm sure they're disappointed. They probably won't admit it, just because like, a lot of people who get scammed never admit that what they, you know, what they chose to do was actually a mistake. Like, when I was in college, I knew a number of people that fell for those, like, drop shipping scams, where effectively you would sign up and they would, like, send you stuff, and then you'd mail it on to the next person, which effectively they would buy things with, like, stolen credit cards and whatnot, and then just pass it on to, you know, use you to effectively launder it, and send it on to another address and just bounce it around a bunch of times, so they could resell the goods, question mark. I really don't know how it works, but I knew at least a couple of people that fell for that, in terms of, like, you know, they actually did, receive and then send out a number of, you know, these, I'm gonna call them illegal shipments, because effectively that's what they were. And I remember talking with them as part of this and saying, like, hey, you got... like, this is not a job. You got scammed. And they're like, no, 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 no. Mine is fine. Mine is real. And having to sit them down and say, no, yours is not fine. Yours is not real. It's just as much of a scam as anybody else's. Same thing with, like, pyramid schemes or multi-level marketing. Like, all of them are MLMs. All of them are pyramid schemes. And all of them are grossly unfair to, you know, the basic sellers. You know, only a small fraction of the people actually manage to make it big. Interestingly enough, you could actually say the same about, like, YouTube, Twitch, and game development. That there's so many, like, hopefuls that, you know, put their all into one of these things and then just, like, never, ever see more than, like, $100 from it, period, if even. Reminds me of the time I went insurance shopping and ended up at a 30-minute Primerica recruitment presentation. Ugh, gross. So far, I've generally managed to avoid those. I had one friend send me a message being like, hey, you wanna like, help with my downline? And I'm just like, hell no. The wild one is, I get a bunch of emails and messages from people that I've never met and have no prior relationship with, that email me at my current professional email, asking me to promote their products, but it's like, it's not Amway. It's, I mean, I think it's usually one of those, like, shitty clothing brands or, like, essential oils or something like that. But it is just the height of arrogance to email, like, a gaming YouTuber and be like, promote my, like, garbage. Like, I'll do that with Loot Crate, just because, like, at least I get something useful out of it. Though I pretty much stopped agreeing to Loot Crates. I can't stand back up. This is weird. I stopped agreeing to loot crates and those, like, loot boxes because they weren't worth it. You know, they'd send me a bunch of cheap plastic shit and, like, leftover t-shirts from X company or another, and then get mad at me because I'm not, you know, I'm not selling their product well enough, and I'm just like, this doesn't feel good to me. Like, I'll gladly take a product and be somewhat honest about what it is. But, I don't know. I always try and do, like, sponsorship deals and, promotion offers for games that I, like, legitimately believe in. Or at least think I could believe in. Same thing with products. So, like, what's a good example? I mean, I've said before, like, if Trader Joe's wanted to send me some stuff, I would not mind being, like, doing, like, a small cooking segment for them. But even then, I don't know, I'd have to look at Trader Joe's performance over the last year. Because I heard they were kind of dubious when it came to their, not, like, fully dubious when it came to their COVID response. I think they're one of the better ones, but I know they let a number of people go because they had brought up, like, health concerns. And that was, like, I don't know, not a great look. But I think there was, like, more to that story, so I'd have to read up on it. A lot of schemes include saying it's a way out of capitalism and include money as part of them. Ugh. Honest reviews are the best reviews of them all. Yeah. I always try and balance the sponsored reviews as a part of it. Because, like, I don't want to be dishonest with it. Because honesty is more valuable to me than like, the money aspect of it. So, like, I've got another sponsor deal for Solasta Crown of the Magister coming up. That'll just be on YouTube, not streamed. And, like, that's a game I legitimately believe in being really good. And I'm beating myself up for the fact that I haven't played it yet. But it seems like they're still developing it, so I think I might just wait until it's, like, done, then come back for some kind of edited thing. Or, I don't even know. The problem is, like, long games, trying to do series on them right now is just awful for me. I guess what I could do is just do what I've been doing with, let's see, with Monster Hunter Stories, and just kind of alternate a bunch of long games, you know, just like, today's going to be a random episode on Monster Hunter Stories. Next day is going to be a random episode on Solasta, and they're all, like, slightly more edited down and a little bit more, high speed. Or, you know, I skip through a lot more of the content. Am I almost done with this place? I think I am. The interior here, took a while. Damn. But I think if I'm ever put in a position where a game is, like, truly abysmal, and I was, like, sponsored to play it, I'd sit down and say, like, I can't do this. I've gotten close a couple of times. And my problem is, honesty is more important to me than money, but also, I have trouble disappointing people. And so I'm sure if, like, an indie developer paid me to do a video or a stream on their game, I was, like, really hopeful that, like, I would be the one to help them and, like, do it. It would break my heart to say, like, I can't actually complete this sponsored stream because your game is garbage. I mean, hell, I can't even do that with, I have trouble with that when I'm straight up just, like, streaming or recording a game. You know, if a developer really cares about it, and then they send it to me, and is bad, I'm just like, oh, this hurts. So I've actually raised my standards just so I generally don't say anything negative about a game, unless it's, like, Biomutant, at which point I don't care, because, like, they should have seen it coming, and are getting absolutely thrashed everywhere else, so it's not a big deal. Let's see, telling them that might be what they need, though. I think it depends on the game. Like, some games are straight up unfixable. In my eyes. Like, there are some games that are just absolute trash, and no amount of patching or, like, fixes will fix it. And there's some that, you know, absolutely can be fixed, at which point a lot of my commentary switches over to, like, ideas on how to improve it, how to fix it, or how to make, like, another one that gets around a lot of the immediate problems. Those are few and far between, though. Just because I know a lot of people get, like, mad at me. I mean, hell, I'm really waffling on playing more of that, Dream Engine's, Nomad Cities game, or, yeah, I think it was Dream Engine's Nomad Cities game, because I was kind of talking about, like, things that could be fixed and some of my problems with the game, and, like, every single comment on, especially the second episode, is just like, stop complaining all the time, whatever, and it was just, like, a bunch of rude people telling me how to play and then telling me to stop, like, commentating on things about the game that I felt like could be improved, and it's just like, I don't know if I want to continue playing this for a lot of reasons. I think I also just am not super interested in negativity nowadays. Like, if I'm playing something where people are just, like, overwhelmingly negative in the comments section or the stream or whatnot, I think I will just gladly nowadays just peace out on it and not come back, because it's just like, nah, this ain't worth it. I don't want to deal with that. Not to say that, like, I think I'm a more sensitive person, I just have less patience for people being shitty at me. Partly, it also helps that it's just kind of like the realization that, like, if they're willing to be garbage at me for, like, one thing, they'll probably just continue being garbage at me for a lot, so cutting that out is easy. So I don't play a whole lot of, like, puzzle games, so, like, I never finished Baba's You. I would love to, but just, like, the amount of comments that I had to remove of people being like, how did you miss this or not figure it out? Like, I was facepalming so hard, it's like, eh. I'll gladly just, like, skip those kinds of games. Even if they're fantastic. Just easier. Did I already get this? Oh, I did. I have been weirdly all over the place. Like, normally I think with a game like this, I'd try and be very thorough about one thing after the next, but I'm just popping from one grime spot to the other without even, like, really thinking about connectivity. Boy, this playground floor is gross. There's so many little dirt spots, too. Hopefully I don't have to go back and get many of them. We'll see. I've heard about how satisfying this game is with man's words do not describe it. It is zen as shit, and it's like, it's that perfect feeling of rewarding. You just see the grime spots. You see the before and after, you know, this place looks gross, and then I just do, like, a quick pass of anything. And it's just like, wow, that just looks immediately better right off the get-go. Or, like, right from the get-go. This is the extraordinary Dr. PowerWash? Why does my name keep changing? We got your details from Cal. We got a dirty old house in need of some TLC. So I wonder why they use this fancy pants, shock-absorbing rubber compound for the playground flooring and not the good old-fashioned creosote. I mean, I don't really know how to respond to that. I don't actually know if the shock-absorbing stuff is that much better. Unfortunately, that became really commonplace after I grew up. So for the most part, we had, it was like painted asphalt or wood chips.